Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for sharing my previous videos. Today I have a very beautiful lady with me. She's a gynecologist. She's called Dr. Freda. So welcome, Doc. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Opanga, for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Dr. Freda Odera. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist, and I'm very passionate about issues affecting women and girls. Yeah.
So today, since she said she's passionate about what's affecting women and girls, today we're going to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yeah. So she'll take us through what it is, everything that you want to know about PCOS. Yeah. So we can begin. So Doc, you can tell us what is polycystic ovarian syndrome?
So polycystic ovarian syndrome is a condition that affects women and girls within the reproductive age, and it is characterized by lack of ovulation.
Yes.
How do you know you're not ovulating? No periods, scanty periods, very spaced out periods, and then for some people it brings along changes on the skin. People start getting pimples, some get beards, mood changes, weight changes, and other signs that they are having excess androgens, which are the male hormones. So those are some of the ways in which you can recognize. The word polycystic ovary is a radiological diagnosis, because once you do an ultrasound and see ovaries that have multiple cysts, that is more than 10 cysts that are immature within an ovary, or an ovary volume that is increased more than 10 centimeters cubed, that qualifies now, together with the other features, to diagnose polycystic ovary. It's a syndrome. So you must have 2 out of 3. So either polycystic ovaries on ultrasound, together with either scanty periods, periods that are coming, cycles longer than 35 days, or fewer than 6 cycles in a year, or when you have features of excess male hormones, either physically we can see, or when we do lab tests, we find testosterone and other hormones related to it are higher than normal. Yeah, so 2 out of those 3. Yes, that's how we diagnose.
So I can't just have like maybe one symptom and then you tell me.
You cannot just have scanty periods that are long cycles longer than 35 days and then we say you have it. Or we can't just do an ultrasound, and that is the commonest thing people are doing outside. Someone goes for an ultrasound, the sonographer notices that the ovaries have multiple immature cysts that are more than 10, and then they diagnose them with polycystic ovarian syndrome. You have to have, it's a syndrome, so it must have 2 out of the 3.
So guys, you've heard. Please just don't go to any doctor and then you do an ultrasound and then they tell you have that and then they diagnose you with that. No, go to the right doctor. So next we go to causes. What really causes this polycystic ovarian syndrome?
That's a very good question, Dr. Opanga, because many people want to know what is causing it. But nobody knows what is causing it. Yes, it is largely unknown, but it is said that there is a genetic component where if your mother had it, or your aunties, your grandmother, and then there's also the environmental. So when they come together, there is the interplay that now leads to it. Yes. So we cannot say you are exposed to this, you ate this. No, there is genetic and environmental, but it's not a very definite cause.
So how common is it?
It is relatively common. Approximately 6% of women in the worldwide. But the other thing is it can be overdiagnosed, like I said, because of people just doing ultrasounds without looking into the other parts of the syndrome before diagnosing it. So many people are wrongly diagnosed. So when you go by that, the number is more. But it's fairly common. It's actually the leading cause of anovulation, infertility in the West. Here, you know, infertility is caused by infective causes, but in the West, it's the #1 cause of anovulatory infertility.
So you've talked about PCOS and polycystic ovaries. So how do I differentiate the two?
So PCOS, remember there is the S, it's the syndrome. Yes. So it has we use the Rotterdam 2003 criteria for diagnosis. So this is just a group of scientists that sat together at a place called Rotterdam in 2003, and they came up with a diagnostic criteria for this condition known as polycystic ovary syndrome. So this is what they said. A person must have had cycles, periods, that are longer than 35 days. Remember, you have the shortest cycle being 21 days, then 28 majority of people, then 35. So when you have it going beyond 35 and it's repeated, not just once, we've all had instances where the periods delay, you start asking yourself questions, and then it comes. I'm not talking about that one. Those scares, no. I'm talking about the one that is taking, it becomes like a routine.
Like
you take 3 months, 4 months, and then you see your period, and then it comes heavy, maybe with pain, and then again you wait and wait and wait. So in a year you have less than 6 to 9 cycles, and then you go for an ultrasound. The best way to do an ultrasound so that you can see the ovary properly is usually the transvaginal. So you go for a transvaginal ultrasound, and then it demonstrates your ovaries having many cysts, many immature cysts. So the sizes are usually 2 to 9 mm for polycystic ovary syndrome, and then more than 10 in each ovary. You can have in one ovary or both ovaries. Doesn't matter. Even if it's in one ovary, we still diagnose it. Or you find an ovary is enlarged, not like that it has a cyst, but it's just large stroma, size more than 10 centimeters cubed. That also qualifies to be polycystic. Part of the syndrome. And then the last one is we call it hyperandrogenemia or androgenism. So hyperandrogenemia is when you get a blood sample from someone with suspected polycystic ovary syndrome, and then you realize their testosterone is high. Their other hormones related to testosterone are elevated, or when you look at them, you see like they are becoming a bit masculine. Like their flawless skin is becoming, it has pimples, they're having a beard, a mustache, male pattern balding. Some even have hair on the chest. Yes, women around the nipples, upper back, even the legs and arms. But you have to put it in context, because you have populations like Asians tend to be more hairy. So you cannot go labeling all Asians androgenic. You have to put it in the context of the population. Yes. So like us black people tend not to be so hairy. So if I saw you with beards, and I might want to investigate you more. Yes. So when you have 2 out of those 3, then we can say you have polycystic ovary syndrome, and then we can start management of
that. Okay, fine. So what other diseases are usually associated with polycystic ovarian syndrome? Because I've seen people are being told like check your diet, manage your diet. So polycystic ovarian syndrome predisposes to metabolic syndrome. You've heard of metabolic syndrome X, where there is insulin resistance, high blood pressure, obesity, especially central obesity, and also vascular disorders, like hypercholesterolemia, hypertension. Sorry, we are using so much medical. High blood pressure.
We are just saying. When you have polycystic ovary syndrome, you are at high risk of other conditions related to disorders of metabolism, like obesity, a lot of deposition of fat around
Kitambi,
we call it visceral fat. It's not the fat in your hips and thighs. This is fat around your tummy that is covering your vital organs. And then there is also high blood pressure associated. And then the other association with polycystic ovary syndrome is cancer of the endometrium, cancer of the lining of the uterus. That one comes about because of lack of frequent menstruation. You have the lining overgrowing, and then it changes with time, and then it can predispose to cancer. Then there's also diabetes because of insulin resistance. It's associated with polycystic ovary syndrome.
What about thyroid? Do they experience like thyroid issues?
No, there is no relationship between PCOS and thyroid
diseases. Because someone asked me that, and I was like, so if you ask me that question, I know you're watching this, so there's no correlation between
I haven't come across any you know, medicine is ever changing, but
Yeah.
so far,
Yeah,
no.
so far nothing.
Diabetes, yes, especially type 2. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Strong associations.
From association,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, so we've talked about now associated diseases. So how do we manage now polycystic ovarian syndrome as
Number one, it has no cure.
wow?
Yes.
Okay, so it's
it has
like
no cure, but it is very manageable, and people end up living their best life with the condition. Management depends on your needs at that time. So if Dr. Opanga came to me today and her main issue is the beard and the mustache and the
hair
acne,
and everything,
that is what I will
You'll
concentrate
manage.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, but then also management also looks to make you holistic. So there's no way I will address only the beards and I ignore the lack of
Yeah, the lack of
menstruation,
menstruation.
because the lack of menstruation, if it persists, it will bring you to cancer of the endometrium. Yes, because you need to shed the endometrium.
endometrial
You need to
lining.
shed it. If you're not
Okay, yeah.
pregnant, you need to shed it, and if you're not shedding it, it can
Oh, it
change
can
and bring
change.
something else. Yeah. So if her main so like if her main issue was the acne and all, I would put her on some medication that will inhibit the male hormones. Yeah, the androgens,
The androgens,
from the
yeah.
activity on the skin and on the hair follicles, and then we'll clear the acne. And then also the medication, I'll also put her on something to make her menstruate. The good thing is that we have something that does both at
Both.
the same time.
Okay.
We have the combined oral contraceptives that
Yes.
have strong anti-androgenic activity.
Anti-androgenic activity.
Something like Yasmin or Diane. I'm not marketing.
You're mentioning Brian. I wanted to tell you you're mentioning trade names.
Oops, I'm sorry. But something with cyproterone acetate, something that has a strong anti-androgenic
Anti-androgenic
activity,
activity,
yes,
yes.
we'll sort that out and we'll also make sure you menstruate.
Yeah.
If she came to me because of infertility, and that is what
Infertility,
brings
yes.
many people.
Yes.
Yeah, people don't really care for menstruation. I mean, if I
Yeah,
missed it,
like
the better.
because I don't have cramps and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then if the issue is conceiving, then we first have to make sure you're menstruating. So we'll still give the combined oral contraceptives to get you to menstruate.
Yes.
And then now we'll do ovulation induction.
Okay.
Yes. Remember, polycystic ovary syndrome is an anovulatory
Anovulatory
disorder.
condition.
Yes.
Okay.
So we induce the ovulation.
Ovulation.
With what? With things like clomiphene
Clomiphene.
citrate,
Yes.
letrozole, something that will make sure your ovary is releasing an egg.
But caution, if you are
You don't
not
self-prescribe.
menstruating, don't go and self-prescribe those
No.
medicines
In fact,
they have
nobody
side
will
effects.
sell you clomiphene
Yes.
citrate without a prescription. Yeah,
yes.
and you see, these are controlled drugs because they also have side effects.
Yes, they do.
Potentially fatal.
Yeah.
So you need to be checked first before you can be put on this medication.
Yes.
So if someone came because of what else? What else brings people? It's mostly
Diabetes.
they are trying to conceive, and then
Diabetes.
if someone has overt diabetes, they will definitely end up in a physician's
physician's
office,
office,
or and then now during the workup, an ultrasound is done, and then they are found to have thickened endometrium and polycystic ovaries. Then they are sent over to us.
Okay.
So that way we just try to make them have their cycles, not to shrink the endometrium, and then after that, depending on their specific needs. The good thing with the polycystic ovary syndrome is that we have a lot of natural home remedies to put it in control.
Oh, okay. Now that you've mentioned, you can tell us those home remedies. I was coming there.
Yes. The number one remedy is weight loss. I cannot overemphasize weight loss.
Weight loss.
Physical activity, weight loss. Remember, even a modest change in weight of up to 5% of your body weight
Okay.
is enough to make you menstruate.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's
But
say
there's
you
some
are-
instances where exercise actually causes lack of periods.
Yes.
Exercise-induced amenorrhea.
Yes.
Yeah, so how
If
do you balance now the
good.
two?
Now that comes about if you're underweight. Remember, the body is holistic.
Okay.
So it reaches a point, if you're over-exercising and you're so small, your BMI is less than the acceptable one,
18.
your body interprets that you're under stress.
Okay.
Yes. And then menstruation becomes a luxury. Why are we wasting blood? In fact, this body cannot even sustain a pregnancy. It is
So if
too underweight. So it happens a lot in athletes.
Okay.
Yes, and it's actually not a good thing because it can also lead to osteoporosis, brittle bones and all that. It's like malnutrition. Yeah, but this one for polycystic ovary, we encourage even modest weight loss. If you are 100 kgs and you become physically active and you lose 5, you become 95. Things can just start rolling.
Change.
Yeah, and you find people coming and telling you they just fell pregnant. They didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah. Escape ovulation starts to happen, and then you can even find yourself pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because the importance of exercise is it increases the sensitivity of insulin. Yes.
Okay.
You see now when you're exercising, your muscles are uptaking glucose directly.
Oh yeah.
Without needing without needing the help of insulin and all that.
Yeah.
So your body is also, the demands decrease, and then remember insulin also has effects on the ovary. So you stop producing excessive insulin because now your body is already uptaking the glucose on its own. And then the ovaries notice that there's not too much insulin, then they start to behave themselves. Yeah, so exercise number one. Then diet, we cannot overemphasize. Eat foods that have long, we call it long glycemic, natural foods that
like
take long to be broken down.
Yes, so like the fibers and stuff.
Yes. You know, instead of eating
nutritionist, kindly help us.
You see, when you eat something like ndoma as opposed to like white bread, you know, like ndoma will sit in your tummy for longer and it will release small glucose. So even the insulin will just be little. So yeah, that one will in the long run help you if you're having polycystic ovary syndrome. Yeah, healthy diet and exercise, keeping a positive mindset. Yeah.
So on the diet aspect, I think I'll do a video with a nutritionist.
Yes.
Since
especially someone with a lot of knowledge on diabetes, because the diet is
yes, because we might tell you this, but then it's not our area of specialty.
Yeah.
Yes, so we don't want to go there and then people start bashing us. Yes. So I think for the diet, I've said I will do that video
with a nutritionist.
Yeah. So apart from like exercise and diet, do you have any other like home remedies? Because I've actually read some people are advising others to take, I don't know, ginger, lemon and all. Do they have like any effects on that? Or maybe
let me say
no. Yeah, because people are saying for weight loss they can actually use lemon to lose weight.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that.
Weight is just calorie in, and you're not expending the energy. So I don't think lemon water, ginger water is going to do a lot. It's good, they promote health and all that. But if you want to lose weight, you just have to hit the gym and watch what you're eating.
Okay.
Yeah, but for polycystic ovary, there's nothing like, people say take purple tea, hibiscus and all that.
And then they start doing intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting is good. Let me not say for polycystic ovary per se, but you know it keeps insulin at a baseline. Remember, insulin stimulates the ovaries.
Yes.
And then now you get the development of multiple small cysts.
Yes.
So those on IF, usually once they've had their meals and they're on their fasting period, even the insulin remains at an all-time low.
Yeah.
So that could help if you look at it that way. Although there is no book that states that. We're just making an inference.
Okay. Yeah, so do you have like any testimonies of patients who've come to you with PCOS and infertility and then they've already conceived? Because I have like, I'm in a group where guys usually complain about like infertility issues. So if you have like any testimony, you can tell them. So like just encourage them, it's possible and anything.
Yeah, I remember there was a lady I was managing in 2016. This lady was slightly obese and she was having issues with her periods, but she didn't really care much. I mean, she didn't want her periods anyway, and she wasn't even on birth control because she wasn't getting pregnant anyway. So we started with exercise, and I also put her on metformin. Metformin is a drug that improves glucose management. But the thing is, I forgot to put her on birth control. Yes, so she started ovulating and she got knocked up. Yeah, so she was actually happy eventually. She was like, this was not intended,
but at
it came. I didn't know I could get pregnant. That's why I was not on anything. Yeah, but hey, look at me, I'm pregnant. So it was a happy ending. So that is to say that PCOS is not an it's not a condemnation. Yes, people get pregnant and give birth to healthy babies.
Yeah.
But remember, these pregnancies are delicate because of the association with diabetes. We have to really follow them up. For gestational diabetes, large for age babies and all that, and also miscarriages. They tend to get a lot of miscarriages compared to other people. But that can be bypassed, when you are being followed up by professionals and yes.
Yeah, so I think we can conclude for this video. Yeah, and now you can tell them where you're located, and if anyone wants to seek advice, you can even leave your number so that they can get to you. Because I know there are so many women who are actually suffering from gynecological disorders and they don't know where to actually go. So yeah, you can tell them about your clinic.
So yes, I'm passionate about polycystic ovary syndrome, and you can see me. We'll leave the location and my contacts on the description box below. I'll be very glad to attend to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah, and make sure you please subscribe to my channel. This is how I want to start earning money.
Oh, really? You're already earning?
Yes.
You're doing a good job. I like your passion with women issues. And yes, whatever topic you want us to discuss, we can always delve into it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.